what's wonderful about being 21 months ahead of the tornado is finally I could look back with some clarity. It has not been a fun journey to go back in time at all. I never in a million years would have ever imagined the scope, the layers, the levels of complexity something like this would happen. And I was considered, because I know most everybody in the state, I would have considered me very, very well equipped for it, and in fact was. The Barnum Museum was ready for it. We have a disaster plans. We're good to go. We've got the whole plan down. The unknowns are remarkable. The stress, the trauma. One thing that was never part of any consideration, and at a lot of the disaster readiness meetings that I attend, nobody really thinks very, very fully about the human trauma. And that the fact that you are not operating at full capacity after you're in a tornado. Everything in your world changes. I mean, when I look at my watch and I think of everything that I was worried about at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on June 24th, 2010, made no difference at 2:30 that same day. Everything changed. So it not only changes your professional life, it changes your home life because you can't sleep. You're stressed out. You're constantly running. For the first 5 weeks after the tornado hit, I don't think a day, including weekends, went by for 5 weeks that I wasn't on the phone with a media affiliate of some form, talking it out, trying to get as much information as you possibly could. And when you have a small staff, I not only was the person in charge of managing the details of it, I was the person who had to find the architects, had to raise the money through the endangered properties grants with the state, deal with the State Historic Preservation Office, find the funding so we could start, get the collection dealt with. It was unbelievable. Bring FEMA through the building, bring the city people through the building. It just went on and on and on and on. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely overwhelmed. To this day, we're still overwhelmed with the amount of work that this requires, and still discussing with the insurance companies information on the forensics of the entire event, because you're not just thinking, okay, now we've got to fix the building, because you're dealing with an insurance component to this. You have to figure out the forensic of every single thing, not just the building. The building had to come after we dealt with the forensics of the 25,000 artifacts. Every single one needed individual attention. We're a museum. This is how you have to do it. I mean, in a funny kind of way, you can liken it to a hospital. Every single person requires different attention and different needs. So similarly, we had to do this. I mean, our job is to make sure, to ensure that this collection is here in the next 100 years, when the next tornado hits. You know, so that's an enormous charge. That's an enormous responsibility to make sure that we are taking care of this for now, but certainly for the future, because we still haven't lost a beat in our electronic delivery. You know, the website is seeing as much activity now as it saw before the tornado, and sometimes even more so. So just to keep the museum vibrant in the community, alive in the public eye, going dark would have been the absolute worst thing for us to do. The Connecticut State Historic Preservation Office and the state historian laughed, because every time we're in the Hartford Courant, on the news, in a newspaper, they're like, you are the busiest closed museum on the planet. And we have been. It's been very important to the museum to make sure that this is going to move forward, that the Barnum Museum is not forgotten. And it's not something we take lightly. Preserving this building and making sure it's going to continue is not something we're taking lightly. People ask me, it's like, are you kidding? You're still doing that? And I'm like, yeah. It's not easy, but yeah, we're still doing it. And if it takes, you know, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, we're going to continue. And the staff is extraordinary. They have survived this too, and it's been difficult. And the challenges come at you every day. Honest to God, if I had to count and put a number to the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of questions that I had to put answers to and action to, I would probably just drop down and die. I wouldn't even believe it, because questions early, they come at you, you know, from all different levels, because we're dealing with such a broad range of components, whether it's the insurance, it's the city's building. I'm answering to the city. They want to know that this is being taken care of. We have a board, and we have an army of conservators and volunteers and specialists in the field and designers and grants that are going on. It's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable amount of attention to keep in your, let alone, it's like, oh, the items, the artifacts, to just keep it all straight in your head is extraordinary. And of course, you have to go through the basic stuff. You have to still keep your finances in order, and you have to do your audit. And sometimes you just want to stick forks in my eyes and just say, enough. But we get it done. I am very, very overjoyed with what the staff has done. It has been Herculean. It really, really has been Herculean. I said, you know, everybody has your critics. Nobody had more critics than P.T. Barnum. You know, some people might not like the way it's going on, but I can turn around and I can look at this exhibition and see that we have saved so much. You know, there'll certainly be no shame at the end of the day. There'll be no shame. And it's like, you know, whatever, it's there. It's there for the future. It's there for the grandchildren of the people that are coming, the great-grandchildren of the people that are coming. And now that the collection is safe and sound, now we can focus our attention and focus the fundraising efforts on getting the historic landmark fixed. And that is the most significant artifact. But nothing could happen to the building until the collection was out. So it was a challenge. And I've said to a number of people that when any museum, if it's a New York museum or Connecticut, if you go through, we're going to go through a restoration. We're going to raise money to restore, you know, the site, and we've got to move the collection. That could be years. The MoMA, I think, took 3 years to plan their renovations and their collections move, and had armies of curators making those move before the public even knows about it. And then there's years of actual construction. We had none of that time. We were denied the behind-the-scenes planning time. We've been in a fishbowl, and everybody has been watching what we're doing. So we've had to keep on top of all of this. We've had to keep a public face. I think the biggest significance of this week is the fact that we have been living, and the staff, the board, we've been living and breathing this for so long now that it's really become a part of us. It's almost, I don't want to say it's routine, but it's a matter of fact. The public has been so kind, and the emails that we get and the letters we get, and when we see people, you know, in public, how is it going? How's everybody sees me and knows I'm tornado wounded, and they want to know. And I said, you know, this is really a perfect opportunity to enable people to come in and actually experience this. Let people become a part of this. See some of the images on the timeline we've created. We're going to have a slide rocket imagery that's going to show just the broad range of detail. So you actually see the images of the chunks of glass and the debris and the windows blown out and the artifacts damaged. So they'll be able to see really the 21 months that we've lived through, and then they're actually going to be able to see the collection really up close. I mean, this is considered visible storage, but it's giving people the opportunity to learn.